Leading out the single royal casket to the border. You rise to pledge the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now to order immediately support and entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions?
I will move we approve as presented.
Moving second, approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Any names? Ayes have it, so ordered. Treasurer's report. See in front of you, consolidated treasurer's report for May 2021. Total cash and general fund accounts $579,454.79. Reserve account $76,621.60. Fire tax fund has $46,725.65. Sewer fund account has $358,095.83, and liquid fuel accounts has $302,838.96. Take a motion to approve treasurer's report.
I'll move we approve the treasurer's report. Second.
Moving in second to approve the treasurer's report as presented. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, so ordered. Approval and payment of the bills. You have consolidated payment of bills report as of June 10, 2021. From the general fund, $64,705.03. Sewer fund, $1,439.13. And liquid fuels fund, $6,570.87. Any questions regarding the bills as presented? Or we have a motion to approve?
Motion approved. Second.
Moving second to approve the payment of the bills as presented. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it, and so ordered. Public comments.
Two. This first one's from Jill at 3945 Lynn Avenue. Speeding continues to be a problem on Lynn Avenue at all times of the day and night. Is there anything that can be done to help fix this problem? The amount of close calls is becoming increasingly worrisome, especially now that the pandemic is coming to an end and children, pets, residents are out more often.
Mr. Mayor.
You did a study recently about that, and we found that the vast majority of traffic is following this speed limit sign. I don't understand what else might be done. We can't afford to have someone stand there to
As
try to
opposed to
slow people
monitoring.
in.
So the only suggestion I can say, we can put the monitor back up and see if maybe
See if
it's some change.
doesn't cost us anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can, let's move the monitor.
It's actually it has to come out of storage. So we can just put it up.
Yeah, let's put the monitor up back up down Lynn Avenue and see what data we can collect.
Yeah, and I look at the data, if there's particular, if there's somebody on their way to work every day at 7 in the morning.
Time, check your time of day and
Notify the police that.
we'll let, if we see a pattern, we'll let the police know so they can take care of the situation.
All right, perfect. I will install that sign ASAP.
Thank you.
Second one is from,
Are we going to respond to her?
I can let her know. Luz, L-U-Z, Sutler, 3636 Jackson 11. Will the playground program resume this year?
Yes. Keep your eye open in your mailbox. There will be a newsletter forthcoming outlining all the details about the playground program.
It's on the website.
And it's also on the website.
Registration form available there.
Can it be placed on our billboard out front?
But that thing you can't open it.
We can't, we don't want to open up for fear it will fall over or apart.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the question.
unfortunately, yeah.
And that ends the public.
Okay. It's not anything else. We will enter into a public hearing in regards to the volunteer firefighters tax credit.
All right,
Joe?
this is the time, date, and place advertised for the public hearing that's required on the volunteer service tax credit ordinance. This hearing is being stenographically recorded, and our court reporter has asked that we all give our name names, so I'll start.
Susan Eggert, Borough Secretary.
Jim London, Borough Solicitor.
Heinlein Whipper, Borough Engineer.
Greg Zuella, councilperson.
Michael Fritz, councilperson.
Allison Limbaugh, Borough Manager.
David Eggert, Council Vice President.
Warren Lubidow, council member.
Steve Godwin, Councilman.
Barry Kinsey, Mayor of the Borough.
Thank you. This is the ordinance that has been authorized by statute to establish and reestablish a volunteer service credit program for qualified members, volunteers for local fire companies and EMS. It is a credit on the property tax and on the earned income tax. The municipal earned income tax credit is up to $500 of the earned income tax levied by the borough, which is 0.5% for the prior tax year. And the real property tax credit is up to 50% of the municipal property tax. That is not the same as the school property tax. The active volunteer may apply for this credit for the prior calendar year. There are criteria as to number of hours spent in service to the volunteer fire company or EMS that will be set. It is only for active volunteers. Does anyone have any questions regarding this ordinance? Also, here we provide some full procedure.
Can I just double check, for the EIT, it's 50% of the tax paid up to
Up to $500.
$500.
That's correct.
50, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yes.
What is the hour threshold for the definition of an active participant?
We have,
Right. That is not developed as of yet.
we have used Exeter's who have certified it. We need to develop that and get a copy of what they require.
Should that be built into the resolution?
It has an ordinance and it has not been built into the ordinance, but it will be built into the procedure that we have out by resolution. Any other questions? All right, I will then, that'll close the public hearing and I will need a motion to adopt the ordinance establishing the volunteer service credit program and reestablishing the volunteer service tax credit.
What's the ordinance number?
448.
448.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 448 as stated.
Moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 448, volunteer firefighters tax credit ordinance as presented. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nay? And any abstentions? One abstention. I have that. Due to the fact that not because I don't feel the firefighters deserve something, but I feel that the state kicked this can down the road. They should have done this at the state level with the state income tax.
This ordinance was advertised in the Reading Eagle on June 7th, 2021. 2021 is required in that proof of publication.
Ordinance passed.
Yes, we're done.
Moving right along. Borough Engineer.
I don't have a whole lot tonight. I know that the planning commission signed the plan for real estate. Anything else has been processed at this time. Just didn't.
It's,
The agreements are put in place, the escrow is put in place.
escrow is in place. The agreements are not yet, or yes, they are. Agreements on. Right, I believe the agreement, I believe the agreement. I'll check.
I think that's correct.
I have to do final bills.
Any commission?
Have, anything about accurate?
Accolades actually now has an active,
Amazing.
active
Wonderful.
permit
Perfect.
to do
Do
the
the sidewalks. Do we need to take any other action, ready for this meeting?
Need to sign the plans tonight.
We did, we only have to sign the plan, we don't have to take any further action.
No, it's not this
Yeah.
way.
I'll make sure that the improvements agreement's been recorded, but I think that's done quite well.
It could have been,
Yeah, I think. I
They're all-
believe that Mr. Wells brought them in.
we're trying to change it.
Yes, I think the program is sort of signed and, the financial security provided.
Yeah, we already,
We have the financial security in place because we're holding cash escrow for the.
As part of the plan, being recorded, they're also supposed to record it in all the property in one part.
that part we have been waiting on. I think that was being worked on. We were going down the checklist, so it is the deed, the combined parcel deed. I don't believe has been done.
That has to be, I'll remind their attorney.
Yeah,
That has to be done and recorded.
I know that legal description was prepared, but I don't know if it would put it to a deed here.
Um,
Anything else, Don?
That project, we met with planning commission and discussed 3001 Perfume Avenue. Plans were submitted to the borough on May 17th. He issued a review letter on May 26th. They have some parking and access driveway issues that they have to clean up. Once they clean all that up, then we'll do a plan development review. Right now, we're just doing a zoning review. So they have to relocate a driveway, so it's straight across from the apartments and to address the access and egress and exit out of Berkeley.
What has changed since the, pet store?
Pet store
What has changed?
owners.
They're gonna have 3 retail businesses in there
Up on the top of,
on the top home.
Besides the, was there a consignment shop?
there's a consignment shop and then there's the rest of the square footage that is there. And they were breaking that into 3 units.
3 additional.
No,
3 total.
3 total. The parking.
There lies the issue.
Yes. The lower section is not going to be used for storage or anything. So they're not providing any
Or
access.
Access and what?
Yeah. Well, they're putting a parking lot in the back.
And there's gonna be a driveway
And
coming in
there-
off of, opposite the garden park. Otherwise, they can get to retail, they don't have enough parking. It's an issue
Are they
of,
gonna put it on the backside? We went through that with the sidewalk and the whole thing.
yes, they plan to put the sidewalk in. They plan to add an elevator, and we had some commentary about that because they weren't providing an exterior stair from the front to the back, which we found to be problematic if you have no power.
They can only do that on the Old Turnpike roadside.
But you
On the
can't,
outside of the
no,
building.
you can't do it along the curb because you only have like 4.5.
There's no, you can't.
So they have to be on the opposite side and they're gonna be right next to the property at the front corner.
But at the Reynolds,
But they're gonna have to have some kind of exterior walkway. And they need to address the loading area.
And a part of that is not quite large enough
Yeah, they're
spaces and where they're angled with access.
Yeah, they're gonna lose about 3 to 4 parking spaces because they can't get into and out of the site without backing into traffic.
It's all the same issues that were there before.
Of course, Foley Turnpike Road and Brookfield Avenue both are PennDOT roads, so there's 2 permits that have to be there. We'll be here a while.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Todd on any of the items on the report? Anything else?
A copy of my review is on file with the township. You guys need a copy of it.
If anybody wants it, I will email it to you tomorrow. It's very preliminary at this point. Does anyone want to see it, the review letter?
I'd like to see it.
I'll just send it to everybody because I can look at it or not. Because Warren already sat through it once, but.
Okay.
I can send it to you again.
Yeah. And I'd add, they seem to be very willing to work with us in trying to get those issues resolved. They seem to be.
Unless there's any questions from my report, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Report of the zoning officer code enforcement.
We missed one.
This one.
Joan has the resolution for the UCC.
Yeah.
We missed that part. She went down to.
It's under my report.
Oh, never mind, I apologize. I thought we always. This is sorry.
But hey, nothing.
Zoning, we have, processed zoning permits. When it's the 2 commercial zoning permits, one's a reface up at Speedway, which is going to have excellent signage, which is becoming a 7-Eleven. For life of me. 7-Eleven got, Speedway's got bought out at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
All
All of them.
We can't remember what the other commercial one is. For the life. Lamar advertising. They're gonna be removing the billboard that is in the parking lot in front of the miniature golf course up at,
Okay.
It is obsolete. Then zoning permits have been coming in steadily for swimming pools, fences. They want to do it.
All right. Borough Solicitor.
One sec, before we want
Well, let's put it this way, not yet. 494, which is the boarded up one, is now on its second sale.
Yeah,
Third, yeah.
there you go. That's the best one.
This would be the ideal, EYE, development house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there really a name of it?
Yeah, that's it. I can't wait for that phone call. No,
Hit the
but
whole
that's
button.
okay.
The whole button.
If it goes again,
Yeah.
it will sell and it will sell for 20,000 more than it sold the last one. Sooner or later, that property will be up. Who knows?
One house they really want to flip.
And the other one is mired in legal issues. It's gotta get boarded up. It's just we got slammed with too many things happening at one time. And then I figured the ARPA funds for 192,000 feet out, boarding up the house.
Well, when it comes time, you and I work together on
On what? The
boarding
boarding up.
the house.
Oh, we're old hats at that one now. We just slap a condemned sign on it because it has no running water, so it can be condemned.
Is it condemned that?
Yeah, it's just a question of getting, sitting and getting it done, and it was on the list to do, and it got booted to, because nobody's gonna move in there at this point, because the holder of the mortgage, and it's all a little cloudy.
Just on the same person.
494 looks like 2 units, and then this is the house that's next to it.
But the one you want back here, so
That was part of this.
that's.
That was soccer bank. When soccer bank foreclosed, so whoever was, they ripped that down, and I ripped it down, and wanted to rip the front too, but
Okay, any other questions on zoning code enforcement? Not,
Joan?
All right, I have one other item under my report. We already took care of the volunteer firefighters tax credit, and that is the resolution for the county OCC appeals board. And for once, the state legislature has saved the borough some money, because it used to be that intergovernmental cooperation agreements had to be adopted by ordinance with the advertising costs. Because of amendments to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act, can now be adopted by resolution. Another way we can save money is the fact that the borough does not have to have its own appeals board. Every municipality must adopt the UCC and must have a means of appeal through an appeals board. However, the appeals board has to be constituted of at least 5 individuals who have backgrounds in construction, contracting, and engineering. In most municipalities that don't have high populations, it's difficult enough to get individuals to serve, much less individuals who have very specific qualifications and 5 of them at once. So the county has developed an appeals board, and the resolution in front of you is to authorize signing the intermunicipal agreement and joining the, or rejoining the county appeals board.
They made some changes to the, so that's why we have to redo.
It's $300 a year, and I'm going to recommend it. It's not well spent.
They don't want
I would think so.
200.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 850/2021 to rejoin the county UCC appeal board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, second saying aye. Any nays? Guys have it, so ordered.
And that's all I have. Unless anyone has any questions.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. you're up.
Seasons are changing, so it's time to change the cap to summer white. Think about lazy days at the beach. I have some good news from the Central Berks Police Department. Chief Seraphin spoke with me recently. The staff that started during the pandemic last year has stayed with the department. There have been no changes. That's good words, I think, shows very stable management. Some bad news from, disappointing news from the police department. Last month, there was a domestic problem on Lynn Avenue that resulted in a stabbing. And fortunately, that was the first recorded arrest for a long while in that type of activity. While we're talking about that, the devastating incident that happened on Fairview Avenue in Mount Penn happened the day before I spoke with the chief. He had indicated that things were really moving along on that there would be an arrest shortly. And sure enough, in this evening's evening news, they caught the perpetrator, and he's cooling his heels in jail. There ends my report. Think summer, stay healthy, stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Let me just ask, when we had the meeting last month, we talked about the cars being left on street right-of-ways. And Allison approached the chief about looking at the cars that are parked. I just came from there just 20 minutes ago, and there were easily 6 cars in the right of way of Chestnut coming down. And the response that Allison got, if I'm correct, was unless we get a survey and know exactly where the street right of way is, I don't think he was willing to enforce it.
Is Chestnut Street a completed street there?
It is not. It's a paper street, right of way, and on the lower side, on the south side of St. Lawrence Avenue. If you look at a map, the street shows continuing absolutely straight you can stand there, look up and look up at the curb line, you can easily see that these cars are well within the right of way. It's not like,
And they're actually.
oh, they're parking them there, there was a,
Blocking egress.
they're parking in the borough right of way, and according to Allison, when we talked about last time, they're not supposed to be doing that. Is that correct?
There is, I think, Joan, you said that it has to stay as a permanent right away.
Right, an unopened paper street is it's a right of way for private access and joining owners or development owners. But it's not considered a public street because it's never accepted or otherwise de facto open
But-
street.
We can't ever vacate it because it has utilities in it.
Right, it has utilities, you can't.
Would that be the same issue we have off of Silo Street?
Well, that already actually had curbing and for the most part going back through there, and it was leveled and it acted more like it was a road. In this case, this has not been developed as anything other than grass down through, other than what is the driveway that comes down for the church parking lot. There is not, it's the area down there, I think that where they used to do the chicken barbecues, through that strip that runs down and then goes down to Ole Turnpike Road. It's kind of been.
If you go down Ole Turnpike Road, there are curbs. There are curb cuts there.
There are
Curb
curb cuts
cuts
on
there.
Ole Turnpike Road and on St. Lawrence Avenue,
Right.
but there's no delineation as you go down through there of what is indeed.
Yeah. But it's obvious if you look up the street.
That comes down to two rates auto body.
Yes, yes.
Well, it seems like our hands are tied unless, as the chief had requested.
Derek is the one who was communicating with Ray,
So that's the information.
Oh, gee, okay.
which basically it was, they have difficulty.
Yeah, not to make a difference, it just that police don't want to enforce on it unless they know exactly where the lines are.
Yeah, well, you can look on a map. And you can see it go straight. You can stand there and you look up and see the curbs on the paved part of Chestnut. And you can see when you're standing there, I mean, it's like saying, am I between that wall and that wall now? I don't see lines on the road. So, but I can see, obviously I am. It's very,
It's not that easy. It's not, it is not that easy because we struggle with property line issues.
yeah, but you don't need to know, those cars are in probably the middle of the street, not near the edge,
In the middle of the paper street.
the paper street, yes.
Okay, if they wouldn't park there, would they park on the turnpike? Or they
Well,
park
there is no
there, there's no
parking.
parking there.
Saying that there's,
So by kind of, I hate to use the phrase, turning an eye to it, are we avoiding another problem somewhere on a active public street? Now, if they would start to root it up with all kinds of trash and stuff, that becomes a different issue.
There's one car that hasn't moved in months, it's sitting there, the weeds are high around it. There was a truck that's been bumpers off, been sitting there for a period of time.
Well, here's a question, are any uninspected or unregistered?
Pardon?
Are any uninspected or unregistered?
I don't know, I haven't
Because
gone.
the junk cars are a different issue.
Yeah.
Different quality of life issue.
I thought we
Are
talked
we
about
allowed
last
to
time.
have an easement to do an enforcement if it's public easement?
I feel you can. I mean, if it's an abandoned car, I mean, abandoned vehicles are stickered by the police all the time. on the streets.
I think that's the more important issue,
Yeah,
to help clean it up. But
Part
it's-
of the issue, yeah, is what can you see when you go down there, because you can't go along
so,
right.
private.
so anybody who wants to park their vehicles can park them there.
Well, I would say if the average taxpayer, instead of maybe parking up somewhere else, maybe up on the avenue where you can't park, or add more cars onto, Holy Turnpike Road, if they're keeping it clean, or maybe they're cutting the weeds or whatever's going on back there, I've never really looked up there. And they're not, trashing it up with bumpers off the trucks and weeds and stuff like that. That's a whole separate host of issues. I don't, and there's no trash laying around, they're not using, throwing their cups out the window and stuff like that. I don't.
Say if they're abandoned or uninspected or unregistered, tag them for that, that's property maintenance.
That would be the part of cleaning it up that I would certainly be in favor of. But they're just using it for the ease of getting into the house rather. I mean, sometimes you look at Old Turnpike, that's parked full of cars there.
Yeah.
It can help.
And they're also, I mean, it's just, their access to it is through the church parking lot.
So they have to.
So they're using the church parking lot to go onto that property to park their cars.
Does the church have the right to barricade them? If it became an issue with the church, well, and they.
Yeah, I mean, the church can put fence or a gate around its own property as far as at the back of the property if they're accessing there.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if
They're coming down the
center stuff-
driveway, you just drive by there, take a look.
But I know their daycare center and stuff like they have actively there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind
and
them
now you got
traffic.
these cars all parked along there. It just is not.
I would certainly want it cleaned up if there's, out of date cars sitting back there in parks and weeds and around those cars.
Well, there's one car at the bottom, lower part, which I don't know which house it's associated with. That has, at least when I went by a few days ago, had weeds, like that around it.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Yeah, I would
See if
certainly
there's,
enforce that.
see if there's anything enforceable through property maintenance at this point.
So who's responsible for whose property maintenance? Yeah.
Well, that's why I directed him to check that out, to see if there's any property maintenance issues, that we can, tag that.
Yeah. So, if we're technically responsible for mowing that, the cars there all the time, we wouldn't be able to mow it.
We have never, on an easement with no improvements on the surface, mowed an easement. We have always dealt with it as 50-50. It's a road we're not gonna put in, but it's also not, we're gonna maintain it.
Okay.
Right, and maintain it 50%
Of, if you have a 30-foot wide road, 15 feet goes one side, 15 feet goes. And maintaining it puts you at risk of de facto opening of that. Yeah.
Right, but we're not going to go after, the property maintenance issue is the fact that the people who are supposed to be maintaining it are letting the weeds grow beyond what we allow anywhere else.
And also,
No,
lot of junk cars. That the
Right.
issue to me is the.
Okay. If you took that line that said where the cars are parked, the person, the property owner on that side is responsible for it, that would be the church. Yet none of the cars are associated with the church.
Well,
So, how do we, if we are responsible for maintaining that path?
Well, I think that's the technical side of it.
Yeah.
As far as whatever vehicle's there now, enforcing it would go, obviously they'll run the tag, they'll find out who the car belongs to. And I guess they'll give them an opportunity to move it over to the form.
right, I mean, the removal of cars is the first issue, the second issue is then maintenance going forward. And the property owner is maintaining it, the church also, as I said, has the right to gate off. the back of the
We used to
property.
always mow down there, we don't anymore, because they've taken over it,
Right,
they've
and,
taken it over. They're
Right.
mowing it, they're,
and I think there that if getting the cars removed and then maintaining it, but also putting up a gate in the back so that the property doesn't repeat itself.
yeah, you'd have to put a little fence all the way down.
So if they come in from the church parking lot, they're going out to the church parking
They come in that driveway.
lot. Can they go down to Holy Turnpike? They can't get out.
No, you
Okay.
can't get down.
So they have to use the church as an access.
Right.
They're using the church driveway and the church parking
Which
lot.
is trespassing, private property.
Are there signs up there?
Is the driveway in the easement?
Oh, probably a bit of it is. A little bit, a tiny bit. Now that you'd have to get surveyed to see whether or not, how much of it, if it is, it isn't. It's really close.
Don't they have signage restricting access to church functions only?
No.
Oh, okay.
That should also probably be the next step, is the church puts up signage, parking, church purposes only, private property.
Yeah, well, we allow people that live on Old Turnpike Road. They come down through, they use our parking lot, they park in legitimate spaces. And they're, for the alleyway there. There are always some cars there being utilized by them. And we don't give anybody a hard time about it,
Right.
because it's sitting on the pavement, it's sitting in a legitimate space.
Isn't there another issue if these cars have not been moved for quite a long while? Probably
Yeah,
not.
there's an
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we already have an issue with the cats. Maybe this is one of the places where
The majority of the cars are going in and out. There are only a couple that were, two sitting there.
Moving forward,
Okay.
check out the vehicles, see if there are any, unregistered, uninspected, and
Yeah, tag the property.
tag, right. Moving forward. Budget and finance, agree with U.S. Department of Treasury for coronavirus funds, ARPA funding resolution. Resolution 851.
So that we could get everything filed in a timely fashion.
But the DCED has said there's a 5-day deadline, so you do have to move quickly, the 5-day deadline.
We're all done.
Yeah.
We're under review. We have everything, but Bob had to sign the authorization to appoint me as the entity for administering the account. They needed a notarized letter, and even though there was time, that's all taken care of through approved on the account. Done, numbers in, everything filed to DCED, so we should get our money at some point.
Okay, so this resolution, 851-2021, is the appointment of the SAM.gov, System for Award Management, with the federal government, so we can receive the American Rescue Plan Act federal monies. And they should be appointing the manager and chief administrator, Allison Leinbach, as the entity administrator for SAM.gov.
It's ratifying his signature.
Have a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Moved in second to adopt resolution 851-2021, appointing Allison Leinbach as the SAM.gov entity administrator.
Can you repeat what your motion actually is?
All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it, so ordered.
And next resolution.
Next resolution, authorization to open new account, Borough St. Lawrence for the ARPA funds, resolution 852-2021. We're establishing an ARPA funds account at Mid-Penn Bank for the purpose of funds used with it, the guidelines for the use of ARPA funds. Borough Council wishes to authorize Mr. David Eckert, Mr. Robert May, Ms. Allison Leinbach, and Mrs. Susan DeAndre to sign the consent account with their official signature as noted below.
The reason for that account is because there are multiple uses for those funds coming in. We want to keep that clean and then disperse to the sewer fund at the time so that we keep everything neat.
Right, and that's right, because it is subject to audit. There are very specific uses, and just remember the money has to be committed by the end of 2024 and spent by the end of 2026.
So
We can do that.
So it is being deposited into our VIST bank account simply because nobody really wants to call DCED and try and add another bank account at this time. So, yeah, that one's already established.
All right, do I have a motion to adopt resolution 852-2021?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? You guys have it, so ordered.
Okay, do you want to do this?
Yes, we can.
All right. pass the ordinance for the volunteer service tax credit.
Okay, this would be to certify the applications for the 2020 volunteer service credit.
According to the ordinance, I have to certify that the applications, that the names were on the notarized list, which they were, and that they submitted the proper documentation, which they did with some help. And that is the calculation for the dispersal of the monies, which has to be approved by the council.
All right,
These are refunds, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is being treated as a refund from the borough,
A check refund or
A
refund?
check.
Correct.
We do not issue the credit because it's not worth the paperwork.
we're actually going to issue it in pennies.
No, we're not.
All right, so it would be for 3 firefighters, Stephen Guy, Bill Morissette, and Tyler Nextwinder.
Yeah, and if you just want the total.
Yeah, the total refund would be $1,651.78
For all.
for all 3. Motion to approve.
I'll move we approve.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor didn't consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstention?
I heard nod, but that's okay.
I mean, I know you think kind of formally here.
That's all right, Steve. All right, the motion carried with 1 abstention. All right, streets and lights.
My public works report for the second quarter of 2021 is included in the council packet. The note in there, the World War II Memorial was hung in the stairwell. If anyone wants to check that out on the way out.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, looks great.
The electric is planning to be hung up. I'm working with Rick on getting that done to get the light on it. We had a tree removed playground that was attacked by the emerald ash borer. It was a large ash tree on the alley side of the playground. That was by Herb Davis at no charge, so we want to thank her for that.
Yes.
Other than that, the Macy Way streetlights have arrived. I'm waiting to work with Rick and Berks to get the bucket truck down to replace all those lights LED. And around the borough, we started milling and paving for the next couple of weeks, paving weekend next week.
And sealing the
Oh,
playground.
and the playground pass for seals
Excellent.
in conjunction with playground starting next week. Berks days.
2 weeks.
The lights on Macy Ware, those the solar lights?
Now that's a portion of it.
So it's for
And now a third one has failed on Macy Way, so
solar.
you're just gonna do them all.
They're all.
No.
No, those are.
Macy Ware underground.
Yeah, they're street
How do the
posts.
solar ones actually perform?
The song was nice. We had one fault that beach has got it overheated circuit. But as soon as Rick cleaned it out and reset it, it was fine.
And we replaced the batteries once.
So you have enough reserve power to make the night then?
Yeah.
For the most part?
Mhm.
Just one comment, the street sign, Old Turnpike Road, St. Lawrence Avenue, is rotated 90 degrees probably, bent over.
So it's facing.
So it looks as though St. Lawrence Avenue is Old Turnpike Road. And I don't know if you ever, you've got a bolt there, or they tighten that holds.
Yeah, there's a lock now.
Yeah, whether you ever drill a little pilot in the post itself, so that screw goes into it, that will keep it from rotating, not just the friction.
I'll check that.
Yeah, you could just drill a little
Dimple.
Yeah, like-
Dimple.
Yeah,
and then that'll keep things from rotating. That's a big sign, that's.
okay.
part of
It's very large,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
a lot of
large.
sail area.
Yeah, it's also bent over somewhere.
I think a truck's hit that quite a few times.
Yes. Anything else under streets and lights? Planning commission.
Planning commission met, they signed off on the plans, and they had a look at and discussed the plans for up at where Diane's pet. It was an informal presentation. Ty did a really quick review, but we treated it like a plan review because there were so many issues. We didn't want Ty to waste his time
Right.
and their money
Sure.
when there was stuff that just needed to be addressed.
All the council has to sign these plans?
Yes,
Okay, don't forget, before we leave tonight,
sorry.
all the sets, please.
I've got
why I have them spread out like that, so they're, the signing is right there.
We can move one, two.
Yeah, we can move some of these tables to take, move around. Sanitary sewer.
If you heard anything back from,
The project with Mr. Rehab is moving along. They have been contacted for mapping documents in which hydrant to fill it on. They have not given me specific dates on when their start is, but they are having a contact.
Trash and recycling. Things picking up.
Same old,
Question, do they,
every week.
do they provide any recycling containers?
we did
I
not,
see some in the borough from this guy.
we did not do that part as a contract. Some people have taken their recycling containers if they moved here from elsewhere and had mascara. The other are some commercial ones that are picked up, like next door here have mascara. Yeah.
We're going to see some of those also, because if they have ruined somebody's can, you call to complain that ruined your can.
That's simple.
That's, well, only if they actually ruined your can, that's what they'll replace it. But
Just checking.
you gotta sleep at night, so it's up
You're right.
Recreation playground program will be starting June 21st, run through August 13th. We did push it back an extra week due to 2 of the playground leaders that we hired are on vacation the 13th through the following weekend, so we figured we'll just push it back.
Plus, kind of,
And also time to get things prepped. Would like to get approval to hire Gio Notarski, Owen DeGardi, and John Wagner as playground leaders at a rate of $11 per hour.
Have they gotten their vaccines?
Was it something we actually talked about?
Don't want to make it mandatory, I mean,
Yeah.
we can, but I don't recommend making it mandatory.
These first.
All 3 are college students, so they may or may not have gotten.
Yeah, they.
Within
We've
the
already
first
got
time.
those two.
We're
Yeah, these are referrals from the first.
One's one in Wisconsin for college, the other one's at
York.
Kutztown and one's at York.
Yeah, I don't know any departments there.
Did we get the street from?
Well, parents may ask, are your leaders vaccinated?
Sure.
And you ought to be able to answer that question.
I mean, you can certainly ask, it's health information, you can ask it, can't give specifics as to any individual.
They are CPR first aid certified, those, they just did that yesterday.
So you need a
Need a
motion?
motion to hire.
I will make a motion to hire the 3 individuals as listed.
At
$11.
Second?
Yep.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Guys have it,
Back
so
up
ordered.
to the streets.
Back up the streets for a second?
Yeah, back up those streets.
James Minnick.
Putting a request into council to hire James Minnick for $14 an hour as a temporary street crew for the next 2 months to help with projects and mowing. He is moving to New Hampshire in July, so he's looking for a short-term job, end of July. So I found it perfect to be able to use him while we're in the bulk projects in the summertime. If that is okay with council.
Well, he's already working, so.
They better be.
We're working here.
That's,
So he has experience in mowing and seems to pick up the street stuff pretty quickly. So.
I make a motion that we hire
James.
Minnick,
James Minnick at a rate of $14 per hour on a temporary basis.
yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Guys have it, so ordered. Emergency management coordinator,
It's emergency.
I said emergency.
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 Sorry about that.
Emergency management coordinator, where's America here? So,
I don't know how that happened, because I used to say it then. I don't know.
I was unable to attend, something had come up, but there was a addressing seminar Tuesday, which has been recorded. I'm going to go back and watch the presentation. Moving forward, the county DES, GIS department is going to be having individual address points that are geo-verifiable for every apartment. So like up at, Holly Turnpike, right on Holly Turnpike, the St. Lawrence Garden Apartments. If you're in building H, apartment 3, there will be an address point on the map. And we type it in, 2900 Holly Turnpike Road, H3, that will geo-verify and put a marker at that apartment. Eventually, it's gonna be down the line, there will be 3D imaging available to first responders, because I know a number of departments have iPads or tablets in the apparatus. They can preload pre-plans, building drawings, all those kinds of things, and moving forward, that will be integrated with that. The start is getting all that information. So this is going to be a multi-year project, according to Brian Weller, our GIS.
Are they planning on fixing any addresses?
Now, that is also part of the preliminary work, is getting addresses, properly addressed. So we'll have some assistance in and have some backing with the residents if they have heartburn about it. This is driven by the desire to get emergency services where they're needed as rapidly and efficiently as possible.
Is the county addressing the addressing issue in the mainly single-family homes, which is where the big addressing issue arises, and some kind of coordination with assessment and the recorder of deeds?
So that I don't know that information as far as the coordination with assessment recorder of deeds. I believe this is actually, Brian's involvement is also under the county GIS department, which provides the mapping to all departments, recorder of deeds, assessment.
Well,
Parks,
yes, well,
everything.
no, I understand.
But what those departments do, DES has no control.
No, but it's one of those things where if all you do is fix an address on paper that is in a computer and not fix it on a deed or on a tax bill, you might as well not drop it in the first place. It's a waste of time.
Well,
I think ours.
from an emergency management standpoint, what's on the deed or on a tax cert or on a tax bill? What matters to me is the mailing address.
Information.
Well, I understand that. So if the county GIS changes those, that's gonna have to follow through to those other departments.
It doesn't have to
Well,
because they never planned to do it.
That's a county commissioner's question.
So they're committed to updating that system, talking about the St. Lawrence Fire Department.
Yeah.
That, what's the turnover of departments there?
Well,
God,
It's
but
it's
no, this
apartment
is
that
just
should be noted.
that apartment H3 is in this building.
Oh, it's not the name of
No,
it.
no.
I misunderstood what you're saying.
No.
Gotcha.
No, it's just gonna be for geo-verification of addresses for emergency services. Now, that project is in the works. Zoning hearing board,
Nothing yet.
all right, municipal lands.
Had a walk, had a few people join me, just a couple, one council member. When I was in the back of our property and talking to one of the other property owners back, 2-3 weeks ago, I mentioned that there were several tree stands back in there that left up all the time. And he goes, "Whoa, I would never allow that on my property." And he said, "Isn't there liability of having people's tree stands just sitting in the woods back there where kids might climb up and fall off and get hurt or something? It's got a ladder perfectly going up, just asking for somebody to climb."
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, it's not supposed to be on public land. I mean, anything like that, you're supposed to put it there, you're supposed to take it.
We
down.
probably have 4 or 5 tree stands that are left up permanently.
Does anyone know
On our
who they-
property?
who they
Yeah.
belong to?
Is it on our property in St. Lawrence or on our property?
Oh,
next?
they're all in Exeter Township, our property in Exeter Township.
Well, I mean, I think that it potentially.
We as the landowner.
Yeah, I think
Here, I mean,
that's,
you have some potential liabilities, the landowner, it's limited if they're not your tree stands and you don't control them. However, they're still there on your property, it's a potential liability. You know who they belong to.
Yeah, well, that's what triggered it. I said, hey, do you know who these are?
Yeah,
And he said, I don't know.
yeah, because I mean, it's again, it's public land, and they're not supposed to be putting up tree stands on public land, so you'd be within your rights to take it down. There is a potential liability. It's slight, but there's a potential liability there. I mean, there's a certain amount of protection that comes, first of all, from municipal government immunity, although the question is whether that the real estate exception would apply. There's also protection from the recreational use of land and water, a certain amount of, in the event that somebody would try to get injured from a tree stand, assumption of the risk. So there are a number of legal protections, but you know, again, I think that there, especially if it's a minor who is injured, that there is some potential liability. So I think you should look into having them taken out.
I have no idea who to contact, who owns them or anything. What we're also tended to bring up this issue is I put signs saying archery hunting only near every one of the ones I know exist.
Right.
And there's one in particular within 2 weeks it's torn down.
Right, and I think that should be encouraged. I mean, I really think that you maybe put in the newsletter encouraging anybody who's put up a tree stand to on.
And these are way back in Exeter Township, so they're probably Exeter residents.
Yeah. And maybe Exeter should be encouraged to do the same, but I think because it is St. Lawrence Lane, you'd be within your rights to take it down.
It's near the property line. It's probably within a couple hundred feet of our property line, way back.
If you're positive that it's on the property.
When I look on Google Maps and look at the property lines, several hundred feet away from a property line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can take it down.
Well, I haven't,
Can have it taken down, yeah.
I don't know who to contact to take it down. I mean, is there a note that we could put on it saying that this must be removed?
You can. Yeah, you can post something on it and you post it for 30 days and 30 days it's still there, and you disassemble it. Disassemble it and get rid of it. No one's worth putting in public land.
And some of them are expensive, they're good quality, they'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to dispose of them per se?
You would have to.
Can we sell them on municipal?
No one
No,
really cares.
I'm not looking to stop, during the hunting season, people going and putting a stand up
Right,
on
but
our
they have to
property.
take it down at the end.
But at the end of their,
Yeah,
Oh,
they need
put
to,
up-
they need
some
to
of them
take
are
it down.
affordable. Well, they're affordable.
Yeah, no, they need to take, it's on public land, and they need to take it down.
So I think DCR regulations, if you have a tag or a stand on public land, it's just be tagged with your information.
I don't
I
see
mean,
any
that's something that should go in the
information at all.
newsletter too. If you're gonna
Tree stand to work.
put a tree stand up on our property, it must be
Yeah,
tagged with your
yeah.
contact information, and it must be
But
removed.
you say it should be, it should not be left there.
Well, and also not be left there, but DCNR's, one of their requirements on public land is that it be tagged with ownership
Right,
information.
but that's for BC&R land, I don't believe that applies to municipal. land.
Now, we could ask that
We
they
could
do
ask-
it,
We can
that,
ask they do it the same way though.
yeah, because that way
You're
we
right.
could call them and say, hey, hunting season's over, come get your tree stand, you have 30 days, or it's gonna be gone.
I don't even think they should be allowed to stick a tree stand up there.
I mean, you can, but you need to publish that rule. If it seems to be an issue, I would.
Well, where would you publish it? Ready Eagle?
Well, you can publish,
Our newsletter isn't gonna
Yeah,
get
the
to.
ordinance, you can put in the newsletter, there's only so much notice that you have to give.
We definitely have a deer population, and I'm all for the hunters during the hunting season controlling our deer population.
Yeah.
I am not opposed to that. But this person just said, hey, don't you have a liability? I said, I don't know, all that.
I think the liability is limited, but there's other ownership
Yeah,
issues
sure.
to take care of.
No, that's.
Insurance, and their insurance,
You don't require them to get a permit from the borough or anything like that, be on your property.
Never been an issue in the past.
It's almost, it's not even enforceable.
yeah.
for that, the amount of acreage.
And different access points. Newsletter.
As soon as I write it, it's getting mailed.
Okay.
Wow.
Library liaison, not present. Our manager report throughout the meeting. Unfinished business.
I do have something in regards to minute. Last meeting, you had brought up, Warren, about the towers that are moving wires.
Yeah, right.
I was contacted by, I believe it was a high tension controller, however many calls those individuals. He did say that they did remove the tower, the wires from the station or the pole in front of the power station at Butter Lane through the woods to what he called a high power tower, or a freestanding tower that they can stand up without having a guy wire tower to tower. Now, they did say that they're doing a study, this is a multi-year study, he said likely 5 years, going around the state and I guess their entire area, seeing about unused lines that are out of service but still in existence, which ones that they're going to remove from their grid as far as removing the right away, removing the tower, everything like that. Now, he said that's a multi-year study, and he can't guarantee if that is going to be a part of that or if they're going to continue using that in the future. But for now, the tower will remain unstrung.
Yeah.
The
I was also just wondering whether those lines that went from the last tower, they stopped removing it all the way up to the top of Schwartzwald Hill. It's a long, long
Say,
line.
he didn't tell me exactly where they stopped. He just said they stopped it at the tower that was the last strong tower. I forget what.
Yeah, and then there's another one way up at the very top.
Yeah. So, but there's no remaining offline until they finish the study to see if they're going to decommission everything and remove right.
Yeah.
So that's way years down.
Okay, so it's gonna stay as it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Any new business? General comments? Coming up on business. Everyone was waiting for adjournment.
So we adjourn.
Moving second to adjourn, all those in favor, give consent by saying aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you. Do not forget, please sign these plans.